Welcome to Nature Cures with Stacia Alicia, where we explore inspiring stories of natural healing and transformation. I'm your host, Stacia Alicia, and I am so excited to have you here today. Today on Nature Cures with Stacia Alicia, we're joined by Julzz, whose story shed light on a pain far too many women silently endure: excruciating period pain, month after month, year after year. For over a decade, Julzz lived with extreme cramps, bloating, nausea, and acne. Pain so intense it disrupted her schooling, stole her sick days, and impacted her ability to simply live a normal life. Today, she's here to share her healing journey, the revelations that changed everything, and how she's finally feeling in control and reclaiming her health naturally. Let's dive in. Hi, Jules.
Hi, Stacia.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I think this is such a beautiful program. I think this is so wonderful that you're doing. So Jules, everyone, most persons call me Jules. My name is Julian Lawrence. I am from the cool, foggy hills of Maroon Town in St. James. That's where I'm from. I grew up in St. James for, let me see, yeah, all of my life. When I spent my summers in Negril, of course. But yes, I studied biology in school. I did a double major in experimental biology. And what else? I'm a Christian. Faith is super important to me. God has done so much for me. Like sometimes I wonder how I do these things. So I am a herbalist. I'm very passionate about herbs and nature and just how we take good care of our temples. That's really important to me. I'm the wash belly for my mom. And I think, yeah, anything else that I missed out that you'd like to know that I didn't mention?
Well, we're going to be having a conversation now, so I'm sure more things will come up. Can you tell us what
Absolutely.
life was like before your healing journey began?
Oh, yeah, way back. So I would say if I was to describe it in a few words, I would say life was, you know, just just a lot of pain, a lot of just trying to figure out a lot of confusion. So I was confused most of the times. I was in pain most of the times. And I really wanted to know what it felt like to be on the other side of not feeling the pain. So it really started in, I would say I was about 12, 13 when I actually got my first cycle, menstrual cycle that is. And I remember feeling the discomfort and the pain, and I was so excited because I'm like, yes, it's time. I'm seeing my period, so yes, it's a big deal. I have my sanitary napkin, and I'm like, yes, I'm ready for this. I wasn't ready for the pain because I wasn't expecting any pain. I didn't know that there was supposed to be pain. I'm aware that, okay, I'm going to be releasing blood, but nothing about pain came across my mind. And I think this is because I've never heard my mom or any of my siblings, talk about pain. They've never experienced anything like that. So for me, I was so confused. I was always asking my mom. I think she got so tired of me asking her because she couldn't give me the answers that I was looking for. I kept asking her, why is it that I'm in so much pain? Like, why? Why do I feel so much pain? And year after year after year, it's like it just got worse and it got really bad when I got to high school and college and university. It was just the uncertainty of the pain and, just the anxiety that I would have every time, I know, oh my gosh, it's time for my cycle to come back. I have to brace for the pain. I would have the pain before it actually started. So I think a lot of confusion, a lot of pain, a lot of not knowing what exactly is going on in my temple at the time was happening to me before I started to figure out, what exactly is going on in my body.
You started to kind of describe the intensity of the pain, but how did it affect your daily life, your school, work,
Oh,
relationship, emotional state?
great questions. And yes, it did. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd always tell people, yeah, my pain was at a 15, sometimes 20. And I kid you not, like, I always say that I would never ever wish something like that on my worst enemy if I had one. I mean, my heart has no space for that. But if I had one, I really wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And so it affected my life in so many ways, my social life. Like, you'd make plans and you get excited. And then when it comes to the day, it's like, oh my gosh, okay, because it's unpredictable. So I'd have my calendar, the calendar as I get older, I got understanding of ways to track my cycle. And I just use the calendar. So yes, you would have an idea of, okay, I'm on 25-day cycle, 28-day cycle. But because it was just so unpredictable sometimes, it didn't come 25th day, it didn't come the 28th day, it just came, so you would make plans and then, oh no, it's here. Automatic cancellation of plans because what am I going to do? Like, I literally have no use to my body when my cycle comes. Like, I'll just have to be in bed just crying, hollering, trying to go to sleep. Okay, I fall asleep for like a minute or two, maybe 5 minutes. The pain wakes me back up. So it's just that constant battle of trying to go to sleep to not feel the pain waking me back up. Like, no plans around that time. Like, I'm just right there, and the pain has complete control over me and my plans, my activities. It's like something invading my body every month. And I'm like, you're unwelcome. You're not welcome here, but it just still keeps coming back. So I think school, it did the same thing with school. When I had my cycle at school, I had to, just miss lectures, miss labs, or in cases where I couldn't miss those labs because doing experimental biology meant a lot of lab days. The majority of the degree is you're spending it in the labs. So you can just imagine that. I had to chug pills. Yeah, all the pills that you can think of for pain, I chugged all of them, multiple overdosing myself on pills because I just really want to not feel the pain. And so that was one of the things that I used to try to help me, but in situations where I literally had to be there. And over time, my body got used to them. So I went through so many pills because, okay, this one would work this time, and then it just wouldn't work again because my body is just building up resistance to it, which was like, makes sense when you think about it, but it was just so crazy for me because I'm like, I have to just keep, going to a new pill to try to not feel this pain. And it wasn't really working out for me. I had a lot of nausea because of that from swallowing a lot of pills. So now I literally hate pills. I haven't taken a pill in probably more than 5 years, and I have no interest in taking it. Work life, it would be the same thing. I remember when I started working, my cycle comes, I'm in like the big office area where everyone is, and I remember I was there literally on the floor, like on the floor because I was in so much pain. I had to call a taxi to bring me home. Whenever I force it and go to work, when my cycle comes, either my coworkers would have to take me home or I'd have to get a cab to take me home or something, but I would have to go home every single time. So, oh, I would say it literally affected every area of my life. Thankfully, I've had a very, very supportive partner. And so, he just always knew that, okay, yes, during this time, I need to support you, whether it is okay with a back rub, whether it is with the teas, and really just things that would help me to relax. So that's something that I'm truly, truly grateful for, having someone who's understanding of nature and the body and just knowing to provide support as in the best way that they possibly can. I think I covered all the bases, but really did a number on me.
When did you decide, or when did you first begin to say to yourself or to question if there was something deeper going on with your body?
Really, really great question. So I was always thinking about it, especially I think when I got to university. I would think about it here and there when I was in college, but not so much because I'm like, I still don't have an explanation and I'm just going about my daily life. And when it comes, I just deal with it with the pills and everything and move on with my life. I think the first 2 years of university, it was kind of like the same thing as well in terms of my thought process. But of course, I'm doing the sciences, I'm learning a lot about the body, I'm learning about plants, I'm learning about animals. So of course, these questions are going to be bombarding me even more. Like, this cannot be normal. And I remember in 2016, I was like, okay, I need to figure out. No, in 2014, I did a pelvic or abdominal ultrasound. And they did the ultrasound and absolutely nothing came back on it. It was completely clean. Like, it was like everything was good. And I'm like, I know I'm not crazy. I know my body. Like, something has to be wrong as to why I'm constantly feeling this pain every single month. And I went back in 2016. So 2 years later, I went back for a test. And this is because I'm like, I really need to understand what is going on. And by this time, I would have been doing a lot of plant related courses with, learning about the uses of plants and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out so I can see what I can do, right? And so I went back for another one. I did another. I was at abdominal and pelvic ultrasound this time. And when I did it, I went back to my gyno and she was like, yes, girl, you're not imagining it. You're not crazy. Yes, there's a cause, there's a reason for this excruciating pain that you have been feeling. That's when I was like, yeah, I found out that it just cannot be normal because I want to go back just a little bit, just to talk about the pain itself and kind of like describe it just a little more for context. I want you to imagine good old grater. You know the good old grater that we have in Jamaica, the nice, nice grater there? Yes, right? Imagine that grater, right? And imagine that in the form of a ball, right? A ball, like a golf ball. And imagine someone just taking that golf ball and just pulling that golf ball that has the outer layer of a greater texture or surface and pulling it across your abdomen. Like literally fast, slow, that motion 5 days before the entire 5 to 8 days of my cycle. And then like 3 days after, I would feel that pain, but it would be more intense during the time frame of my cycle. So I was like, no, man, I'm not crazy. So that is what really, really led me to be like, I need to go back and figure out what is
Mhm.
going on because this level of pain cannot be normal.
It's
I
not
don't think
normal.
God is punishing me at all. Yeah, I literally said that because I'm like, it don't make no sense. Yeah. So that's
What
what led to me going back.
what was the process like getting diagnosed with ruptured cysts and endometrial polyps? How did you feel finally after knowing what the reason was why you were experiencing this pain?
So while I didn't know what exactly the ruptured cyst and endometrial polyp was at the time, I was really happy. I was delighted. I was like, yes, Lord, it is something that I'm not chasing down the reason anymore. I actually know what's going on right now. So now it's just for you to help me figure out how to, work through moving from this period of being in excruciating pain constantly every month, not in control of my body and my life, to the point where I can feel comfortable in my own body, feel like I have control, and not have this pain anymore, which is to that point of having that reset and that healing. So I was delighted. I was really, really happy. And when I found out, I was presented with the two options. You're either going to do surgery or you're going to take birth control. Those are the two options that I was presented with at the time. Yeah.
Well, when we spoke before, you had said that you didn't know that food was the contributing factor initially. When did you make the connection between what you were diagnosed with and the pain that you were feeling and the food as the cause or one of the causes of it?
So we're going back to 2000, I would say 2015, 2016. At that time, I was, I grew up, Jamaican, Caribbean people, we grew up eating a lot of meat, a lot of different meat. Like, you don't have more than one type of meat on your dinner table. Like, it's not happening for you. Something is wrong. So I think that concept of constantly eating a lot of meat, I was like, okay, could this be something that could be causing the pain? But I'm like, no, it couldn't be, because let me tell you, I love me some KFC zinger. Like, that's an everyday thing for me throughout university and college. Like, I love my KFC zinger, and yeah, I love spicy. So for me, like, I knew the question or the thought was coming back and forth in my mind. I would say 2015, 2000 maybe 16, but I keep pushing it to the back, the back parts of my brain, because I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, we don't learn that. They don't teach us that really in school at all. So it's like, no, I don't think so. So I brushed it off, but I think it was in 2016, I would say, or early 2016, right? I was doing this course that is called Economic Botany. And it's a course where you learn about a lot of different plant uses and stuff like that. And we had to visit a marine village to make it a practical thing, right? And leading up to me going there, I would get nauseous. So I would get nauseous, but this had nothing to do with my cycle. Like, I would get nauseous every single cycle. I think I used to say that I have every symptom of a pregnant woman, even though I've never been pregnant, because that's just how I felt so out of place in my body. But when before I went to the Maroon village, I started to feel nauseous outside of my cycle time. And this happened every single time I ate something. I remember zinger is my favorite thing to eat. Popcorn, chicken, spicy wings, they're like my faves, right? And every time I would go to KFC and buy it, I would just bring it back up. Like, my body just started rejecting it. So that was kind of like a part of my body helping me to realize that, girl, no, this is not, like, we don't want this. But I refused to accept it. I went back. I took a week break, and then I went back. I'm like, maybe something was going on in my body. I don't think yeah. And every time I would go back and do that, the same thing would happen. I was literally just, my body would just push it right up. So that's my money being wasted constantly. And I'm like, okay, there has to be something to this. Now, why is my body refusing this food? Like, this is probably like the last straw of my body telling me that, why are you being, or asking me, why are you being so stubborn? I really don't want this. So the question came back more and more and more in my head at that time, when I was having those, episodes or seasons of really just rejecting the meat. And so I went to the Maroon Village, and while we were at the Maroon Village, I presented the symptoms and everything to the herbalist who she was doing the training. And at that time, my tummy was like flapping over when I sat down, my face, like, now when I look back at a picture of that, I was like, oh my gosh, the inflammation, you could see the inflammation in like this area of my face, my chubby cheeks. Naturally have chubby cheeks, but I mean, it was just so obvious, not to me at the time, but now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, all that inflammation. I explained it to her, and she was like, well, the pain that you're feeling, you can put these herbs together and drink it, and it should help you with the pain that you're feeling. Like, it works every single time. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try it, of course. I'm doing experimental biology, so I'm going to be experimenting on myself. And so that's what I did for the rest of 2016. I experimented. I went back, I ate the meat, I ate the fried food, I ate the pastry, the excessive stuff. I would eat it and then I would wait until my cycle comes. I wouldn't take any pills or anything like that. And when it comes with all the pain and all the vengeance and everything for what I've been eating, I'll be like, okay, let me drink this tea now and see if it works. It worked. Okay, so I'm like, all right, but I'd have to drink it. Like I would drink it like 5 days before because I'm like, I want to ensure that, leading up to it, I'm prepared. So I would do that. Then I drank it on the same day, like to test it because I'm like, if I don't drink it 5 days before, will it actually work? So I did that. It still worked, but it was faster when I drank it like for 5 days before. I think I'm expecting my cycle to come. And so I did the experiment like a lot of different ways just to test things. And then I started to be like, okay, I gotta get serious about this now because I really need to get to the point where I don't feel this pain anymore. Like I need to want this pain to be out of my system more than I get the instant gratification of the foods that make me feel so good. And that's when it really, really got real for me. Like that thought, I don't know where it came from in my head, but it came and I was like, okay, I need to run with it. And so in 2017 is when I started really playing around with, okay, I'm gonna slowly wean myself off of the chicken because it's really not working for me. And so I started to eat more fish, kind of like substituting stuff. So that's the time when I started to be like really intentional about removing the meat from my diet because I realized that it really wasn't serving me and my body was also helping me to be like, we got to get rid of this because it's not working. And so in 2017 is when I actually started to wean off the chicken.
Apart from weaning yourself off the chicken, what are some of the other biggest dietary changes that you made? And also the herbs that you said that worked immediately for pain. Can you tell us what those were as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And so it was the chicken, absolutely the chicken and meat in general. So meat in general. I also did the dairy, so cheese and milk and all of that stuff. I did that as well. I stopped consuming that because I'm like, yeah, the excess mucus and stuff that I was feeling, it really has to be contributing to this inflammation that I'm having in my body. So I stopped with the meat, dairy. I wasn't somebody who was a avid drinker, but now and again I would probably drink like a Smirnoff or stuff like that. That I was like, okay, I need to not do that too because I don't see how it's helping me. So that I wasn't drinking anything at all anymore. And what else did I stop consuming? I think it was that. It was that and replacing it or substituting it with, okay, consuming, being more intentional about getting in more vegetables and fruits into my system. So I think the significant things that I took away would have been the meat, the dairy, and just ensuring that, okay, the one or two drinks that I would probably have for the year would be like a no for me because I don't need it. But I think the beauty of it was what I was also inputting, which is the more vegetables and the more foods into my system as well.
How quickly did you start to see a shift?
I would say within about 30 days, I would say I started feeling like 30 days because of my cycle. But like the little things that you would notice, like the mucus would be a little different, like the amount would be less, little things like that. But in terms of my cycle, impact on my cycle, I would say that would have taken like, I would have to wait until I get my next cycle for me to really feel okay. Has there been any changes? How do I feel? In terms of the length and stuff like that. I would say 30 days, 30 days.
And to go back to the other question, in terms of the herb combination that you took for the pain?
Oh, so that was ginger and Cersei. So
Oh,
ginger and Cersei work every time for pain. I would recommend that to anyone. I think colic mints and Cersei works too, but ginger and Cersei is like number one on the list for me. It works every single time. Every single time. It works to get rid of the pain. Something to bear in mind though is that Cersei it's a blood thinner. So it thins out your blood. And so because of that, you want to be mindful of like if you're used to bleeding like less, it might increase it just a little more while you're on your cycle. So it would be best to drink it like the 5 days before so that it's not contributing to thinning out your blood and making it a little more blood than you normally have while you're on your cycle. But it works wonderfully. It works beautiful every single time. That combination.
apart from the zinger and the wings, what did you think, or what do you think contributed to the polyps and the cysts? Do you think it had anything to do with stress or any other thing, or it was just food related?
I think it's all of them, honestly. I think it's all of them because I think food plays such a major role in what is happening in our bodies in terms of illnesses. But our environment, I think a lot of times it's not zoomed in on enough how stress, the everyday things that you're dealing with can affect how your body reacts and how you get these illnesses and be like, these blockages, I want to say, because I really think it's these blockages that we're having in our system that prevents our organs from doing what they're supposed to do because it's like okay excessive it's too much like we need to deal with this it is blocked we're chemical beings right and we're electric beings and so when those electrical those responses are being blocked they can't travel the way they're supposed to because okay I'm extremely stressed I feel depressed or I'm plugged up because of the amount of food that I'm eating that's not really serving my temple, all of those things contribute the stuff that we're using in our homes. So the chemicals that we're using, the things that we use to wash, the things that we use to clean our homes, like all of those things play a factor in how we get ill, like every single one of them. So I think definitely the food plays a huge role, but I think all of those things combined play a role in contributing to us having these blockages that leads to us being ill.
What
So,
healing modalities, whether it's diet, herbs, lifestyle shifts, you believe made the biggest impact or difference on your healing journey?
hard. It's something you're putting me in a spot now. We're like, okay, who I choose? It's hard to choose. I think I think so. Mindset, and I'm still on this journey. I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I'm like, yeah, my mindset is perfect. I've got this because I think every stage that I go to in life, it just presents itself with different challenges and different hoops for me to jump through and figure out how am I going to take care of this situation. I think mindset was so big for me in this journey because my journey wasn't well, it's a curveball. We'll get there, but my journey wasn't a smooth sailing healing journey, one and done. I'm good. It's kind of like, okay, God, why am I really going through this? Am I imagine like I go to church, I do these things, I obey you. Like, why am I the only one who's going through this? Like it was so confusing for me. So I had to do a lot of work where mindset is concerned. Like I remember I prayed. It was probably like a whole year at one point in time for patience for understanding because I'm like, okay, I need some patience. I need to really understand what's going on. And so I would say mindset, really big one for me. Really big one. The changes that I've made in terms of my eating and everything, they played a really huge role as well. But one thing that I'll always stand by to being so pivotal in my healing journey would have been juicing. Juicing changed the game. for me. And when I say change the game for me, I mean the length of my cycle significantly decreased. The flow, that as well was diminished in terms of heavy or light or medium, and also just control, just knowing, okay, it's really gonna come this time. Yes, it's gonna come. So like regularizing my cycle and helping me to be more in check with like my hormones. Juicing, I would recommend juicing to anyone because it really worked wonders for me along my healing. So I would say juicing for sure.
What are some of the common recipes or the recipes that you use all the time because they just work?
They just work. Oh my gosh. People are going to be like, why is she talking about greens? This is what my coworkers always say, Jules, you always have these green juices. But I stand faithfully by my callaloo, my pak choi, all of the greens really, but callaloo, pak choi, always have them in my house. And parsley, parsley, really, really good. Really, really good for getting rid of those heavy metals and stuff in your body. But when I started then, I didn't really know that much about heavy metals. I just knew that, okay, I'm gonna juice because I think this will help me. And the juices that I used to make at that time, always have a green juice. I always had a green juice. So my favorite green juice recipe that I always made that time, I used to make green like mild, and then light green. So this would depend on how much greens I put in it. So I would do callaloo, I would do pak choi, I would do, at the time, I was doing pineapple, but now I do mango instead because pineapple, I don't think my body is really reacting well to pineapple anymore. It kind of like scratches my tongue and my mouth. So yeah, but at the time I used to use pineapple, ginger, enough ginger because I love ginger. Yes, it's beautiful. I love ginger. And also lime or lemon. Yeah. So really simple, I would say. Papaya. Can't miss out the papaya. Yeah, papaya. That's always in that green juice. So what determines if it's green, mild or light would be the amount of greens I would put in there versus like the papaya. And yeah, delicious and it worked. So that would have been my favorite green juice. And then I used to do like little fun stuff because I'm like, okay, I don't want to feel like I'm bored or like, okay, my mind has to be right for my temple to receive these juices since I'm, depriving myself of chewing and all of that. And us as humans with instant gratification and all of that. So I thought about that and I'm like, okay, I want to see. I eat with my eyes, so I want to see something exciting. So I did a green juice. I would do beetroot, really important to get in the iron and all of that. So the beetroot, the carrots, that kind of stuff, ginger. And I would also put callaloo in there because that would be like an iron packed juice as well. And I would also do like I would call it eye candy. So that would be carrot and orange and turmeric. So that one is going to be a little yellowish. Yeah. And then so those ones I would do. Let me see if there was any that I'm missing. I would do like a tangy one. Because I'm not the person who loves sweet juices. I'm someone who loves like tangy juices. So I probably do like a star fruit with cherry, just any fruit that is tart. And then I would have that with ginger and lime as well. So ginger and lime staple in my juices because they just balance it out. Yeah, but those are the juices that I started with. I still have them from time to time now. But of course, I've developed a few more recipes from my studies and everything and experimenting that have been really, really pivotal, not just in general, but also to womb wellness. But those ones, staple, and I say staple because a lot of times when persons are supposed to start any form of journey, we overthink it. We think that we need to have these excessive appliances and all sorts of like a lot of money and a lot of ingredients and, fancy things that we see people have showing on the television or foreign. We don't. So this is more like for the Caribbean or Jamaican people. We really don't need to have all of those things. You really just need the basic things. What is in season where you are? Right? What can you utilize to ensure that you get the juices into your system? So that's what I would say are the most common things that I would use. I juice with the season, I eat with the season, and I just try to keep it as simple as possible.
Did you experience any detox reactions or emotional releases?
Headaches. I would say I definitely had headaches. I felt, a little dizzy or like I didn't have so much strength, like in the first couple of days when I started. Because what I would do back then, I would do like bi-weekly juice cleanses. So I would do like, okay, a 3-day juice cleanse or a 5-day juice cleanse this week. Next week, I would skip, I would just eat fruits and have a sip. And then the next week, I would transition my way back into juicing. So I did that bi-weekly juicing thing for, I would say like 3, 4, 5 months, maybe. Yeah, about 5 months. Yeah. That's what I did. That's how I started. I didn't jump into like, okay, a whole 21-day fast or something like that because I just thought it would be a little easier for my body to transition into doing that bi-weekly thing and then still getting something warm into my system when I'm not on the cleanse. And it worked for me. And then afterwards is when I started to do like 13-day juice fast. And then I did a 25-day juice fast, 21-day juice fast, 30-day juice fast, because my body just continued to feel so amazing when I do the fast. But the first fast that I did, the first couple of days, it was like I got those symptoms, the headache, the weakness, the constant urge to chew, like, oh my gosh, questioning my life choices, like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, is it really worth it? Yes. So I had those symptoms. That's what I say in terms of overthinking. Like overthinking gets me from time to time. And so I think that is something that I struggled with as well. I would say from an emotional standpoint of really being in the present, right? Because I can overthink like the simplest decisions that I need to make. I can overthink the whole thing. I'm way over here, like in no time. And so I think what it did for me, let me tell you, Stacia, the level of mental clarity that I get when I juice is why I constantly like go back to juicing because every single time I do it, my relationship with God, it just gets better. My relationship with God gets better. I get more mental clarity. I feel amazing. My skin transformed. And it wasn't until it transformed that I realized how bad my skin was. Even when I was juicing and being all dancy on Instagram and be like, oh, yes, this is my juice. And I'm like, this is how I was showing people my face with drinking my juice with all these pimples on it. Like, I truly didn't realize until I went back to like some of the videos and I'm like, yeah, that wasn't nice at all. But yeah, those are the symptoms that I had. But over time of doing the juicing, I think my body just got used to the preparation aspect of it. And so those symptoms are symptoms that I didn't really have them anymore. I didn't really have them anymore. Yeah. And something that I didn't know then that I've learned over the years would be the importance of getting the toxic waste out of your system. Because I knew about, okay, getting it out of like the crevices and the corners of where it is, where it's not supposed to be. But I didn't know about, okay, these the toxic stuff and the parasites and whatever that's in your system, they can literally just go and poop inside of your bodies because they're trying to, okay, they're retaliating basically because you're trying to get rid of them. And at that time, I didn't really know that much about, okay, I need to have a binder so that, they can really get out of my system. But I learned that over time that I should officially like have a binder in it so I can release the parasites and all the heavy metals and the film that they're hiding behind, like remove that film so they can be removed out of my system. But I was taking it like I was taking a binder, but I didn't know that I was taking a binder after a period of time. which was chlorella. So I always had chlorella powder and spirulina. And I was taking chlorella from time to time, but I wasn't actively taking it because I knew it was a binder. I was just happened to have it in my juices because I like how it tastes. So, but it's really good as a binder. Yeah, it is.
What has been the most unexpected, powerful benefit of healing your womb naturally?
The feeling, it's just the feeling of, it's so hard to describe, but it's just feeling like I now have control over my body again. Like I have control over my temper. I can make decisions without the thought of having those being changed, abruptly because my cycle decides to come around. So I think that is that just makes me feel I don't like to feel boxed in. I don't like to feel that I don't have control. And I know I can't control everything, but the level of pain and uncertainty that I went through when I got back, that I would feel like I'm just getting back my power. Like, feeling like this is my body and I can make my own decisions. I think that was the most impactful and beautiful thing for me because I feel like, yes, God, yeah, I now have control over what's going on in my body. I decide to eat these things. I eat these things because they give me strength. They make me feel amazing. They make me feel like I can show up as a strong, intentional vessel of a woman that you need me to show up as in this realm. So I think that would have been the most beautiful thing and impactful thing for me as a benefit from this journey.
How did your view of womanhood, menstruation, or your body change through this journey?
I think just realizing that, I guess understanding first that this is not normal because I thought it was. I thought it was normal. I thought, okay, the pain, okay, it's normal. And I think the stigma that is attached to period talk and, menstrual, the cycle, the pads, the pain that we feel, I feel like there is unfortunately a stigma attached that allows you to not want to ask certain questions or to take the first answer that you get for certain questions that you ask, because I went through that as well in terms of I started sharing my journey on Instagram from 2017 because I had an issue with excess stomach fat. It just wouldn't go away. Like no matter what I did, how hard I worked out, everything, it was just so stubborn. And so I started the journey so I could share that. And from time to time, I would talk about my cycle and the pain and stuff like that. And I remember one day someone said something to me, and I don't think they meant to say it in a hurtful way or anything. I just think it's not something that persons think about unless they're going through it. And the person said, every time you're just always talking about your period, like always talking about your period and talking about the pain and whatever, like it's not that big of a deal. And I was like, okay. Here I am sharing my story and stuff like that on the internet. And I'm talking about period. And it's not that accepted. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't really talk about it so much. That was my first reaction to it. And so I shared my journey. I continued to share my journey. I shared my exercise journey and all of that. But I just didn't say anything else about my cycle because I'm like, this was someone who I looked up to at the time. This person was also, it was someone who was close to me, and I would say their view would mean something to me. And the fact that other persons weren't really talking about it when I was trying to find answers, it wasn't that readily available. Made me realize that, oh, maybe it is indeed something that I shouldn't really be talking about. I should just accept that it's normal and move on. But I knew it wasn't normal because why am I in this much pain? It didn't make any sense to me. And so I would say that I would have evolved through the process of, okay, accepting that it's normal to the point where I'm constantly questioning, why is this normal? And then getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I think that because of my journey, I have a duty to make it known that this is not normal. So I think that is where I am at right now. And I have fought tooth and nail back and forth with God about this. But no matter what I do, God keeps saying, look here, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to, let women know that you have options. You don't have to take the very narrow-minded options that are presented to you, or the options that feel limited, unless it's a case where you need to or you want to. You should know that there are other methods that you can use to feel and show up as your best self as a woman, and whatever illness presented with, like with the womb, it's something that you can definitely decide to use nature and God's amazing herbs to bring you through that journey of being on the other side, where you are pain free, you're happy, you're dancing when you're on your cycle, like that. That I think is how I would have said my viewpoint has changed or evolved from the young me who was like so confused to me who is now like, okay, I know that God brought me through these journeys for a reason. And it's for me to now be that faithful vessel and, stand up for people who think that it's normal, who think that, these are their only options, or who just probably not really thinking about it at all because, it's just not something that is talked about enough. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
If you could go back and speak to your teenage self, that version of you that was in excruciating pain, what would you say to her?
I would say, Jules, let me talk exactly to myself. Jules, you know, by the grace of God, we're going to eventually get to that point where we figure out what exactly is going on in the temple, and we're not going to give up. Because something that I said to myself when I started my journey was, I want to see what would happen if I don't give up. Because it didn't, the results didn't come like instantly, like, yeah, man, yes, this is working. I really worked hard on my mind to get to the point where I am today. And so I would say we'll get to the point of figuring out what exactly is going on. We just got to stay patient. And funny that I say patient because I prayed for that. I prayed for that for so long. And so I would say we'll get there. You just have to be patient and just never give up. And that's something that I never did. It doesn't matter what curveballs I was, faced with. I just decided that, I have a duty to figure out what's going on with my body to get to the point where I, release myself of this thing that's not serving me, and also ensure that I share that knowledge with others as well, so that, persons can know that you don't have to do this alone. You're not fighting this battle on your own, and you don't have to take the limited options as the only options that are presented to you. That's what I would say to my younger, confused self.
But what would you say to someone who is in the same position that you were in, but the thing is they don't know where to start? What would be the first step that you would say, start here?
I would say find out. I would say go to your doctor. I think it's really important to find out what exactly is going on, because I think all womb related issues have that foundational thing of, okay, hormonal imbalance and, some amounts of trauma that we're harboring down there. But overall, I would say it is very important to know exactly what is going on so that we can pinpoint, okay, the herbs that would be more effective to this specific thing, as opposed to something that would generally really help the womb. So the first step I would say is to find out what exactly is going on. And while you're finding out what exactly is going on, here's where you want to, gently, you don't have to start removing anything yet, just start adding more. Because I think a lot of times we try to remove too many things in terms of from what we're eating, and then we start to experience deficiencies. because we're removing so much things without replacing them with things that would add back nutrients to our system and minerals. So I would say increase their vegetable and fruit intake, but at the same time, work on finding out what exactly is going on, because finding out what is going on can mean a different time frame for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. So while you're finding out what is going on, in the interim, start increasing your fruits and your vegetable intake, and take it from there. That's what I would say is the first very, very important thing to know what's going on.
What are there any other resources, people, books that helped you along your healing journey?
The herbalist is in Portland. She has a book called Healing Herbs of Jamaica. I don't have it right here, somewhere up there. Healing Herbs of Jamaica. Very, very good. We actually had to use that book back in university. Her name is Evelyn Harris. Very, very sweet and knowledgeable lady. So super, super strong. Apart from her, I would say other books. I think I bought this book a long time ago. I think it's Healing. It was Healing Fibroids Naturally. I think it was by Julian, something, I don't remember her last name. But it's Healing Fibroids Naturally. And I have a few juicing related books that I would have bought over the years. So at this point, I have quite a number of books like for that. From a herbalist standpoint, Juicing Bible is another one, the Juicing Bible. Back to Eden. Don't sleep on Back to Eden. Back to Eden is amazing. The storyline in and of itself, and also the healing principles in that book, really, really amazing. I would say in terms of like online teachings, Dr. Sebi, I've gone through so many Dr. Sebi videos. I listen to a lot of, I don't know if you've heard of Yaki Awaken.
Yeah.
But I watch a lot of his videos as well on YouTube and Instagram. Lila Africa, like Lila Africa, I think his name is. Yeah, really beautiful. I have, I think, like 3 of his books here.
Take us through a typical day. What are your go-to practices or rituals now for maintaining balance and preventing these symptoms from returning?
I have a little bit of a curveball for you, but I'm going to take you through my day. Let's say, so one of the things that's really important for me is ensuring that I hydrate when I wake up. And that can be, it's normally spring water, like probably 8 to 10 or maybe 16 ounces of spring water, or I would do coconut water. But most times I start with spring water, and then after that I have coconut water. Sea moss, love my sea moss. Like sea moss has helped me so much along my journey as well. I take my sea moss in my tea. I don't really like the texture. I have a problem with texture and food, so I'm not going to scoop it. I am promising nobody that. I put it in my tea, or I put it in like my juice, because I'm more of a juice girl than a smoothie girl. So warm lemon water also really, really good for me to kickstart my day. So it would be water, coconut water, sometimes both, sometimes one or the other. Then I would have lemon water, and I would have, my sea moss, my tea. Stretching and deep breathing is something that's really, really important for me as well. And deep breathing is very pivotal, especially when you're doing any type of fast, because it's going to help to clear, like give you more mental clarity and help more energy to go to your brain. Science behind it, it just works beautifully. So that's my affirmations that are mostly faith-based at this point. When I just started doing affirmations, it was mostly like, yeah, man, I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that, but I think now it's more connecting with like, okay, extension of my time with God, like on a daily basis. So that I would say juice. So I always start my day with juices. I don't really have anything before around, let's say 11 o'clock. And my body is programmed at this point to not really feel for anything like chewy or food to eat before that time. So I would have my herbal teas. If I'm fasting, it would be even just juices throughout the day, or juices and fruits. But if I'm not fasting, then I would have like a salad. So it would be tea up until about 11:30 or 12. Then I'd have my juice, so like 32 ounces of a green juice. I almost always start with a green juice. If it's not green juice, it's watermelon, right? And then I would just have a juice again after that. If I'm fasting, if I'm not, I'll have a bowl of fruit, which most times is watermelon. Other times it would be papaya. Yeah, I love watermelon. I love watermelon. I love papaya. So I would have a fruit bowl of papaya. If I am consuming like cooked food, I would have soup, or as my dad loves to call it every time, he's like, no, Jules, it's not soup, it's sip. It's like, it's sip, yeah. So I'll have sip. I love having my sip. So I would have that, and then I would have like a salad, like for dinner. Or if I'm not having a salad, I'll maybe have something like steamed veggies. So I have a steamer where me transitioning from not having the fried food all the time, I just use a steamer. So at the bottom, I would have like maybe, boiled bananas or chocho or pumpkin or something like that. And then at the top, I would have like the like cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, mostly callaloo and pak choi cabbage sometimes. I have to really feel for cabbage. Yeah, it was mostly the callaloo and pak choi and stuff like that, and then the boiled food. And then if I don't feel for any boiled food, I would just have that steamed vegetable with like maybe some steamed some stew peas or something like that, maybe curry chickpeas or something along that lines. But typically that's what I would eat in a day. If I'm supposed to have rice, I probably have rice maybe 4 or 5 times in total for the whole year. I rarely have rice. So yeah, typically in a day, that's what I would do. If I'm fasting, it would be either all juices or juice and fruit only. But once I'm eating like cooked food, I would more than likely go to soups. And once in a, here and there, I'll probably have like porridge. Yeah, but it would mostly be sip that I'm consuming. I love sip. Love sip. Yeah. Yeah. And tea. I can't forget my tea. Like tea to go to my bed because I tend to want to fight the sleep, but I'm not someone to go down willingly when it's time for me to go to my bed. Don't ask me why, Stacia. I don't know why I keep fighting the sleep. But yeah, tea helps me to really just unwind and relax myself to go to bed, especially because I have a very stressful job. Like my job is very demanding, so I need to unwind. But that's what my day would look like normally. Yeah.
Speaking about job, what services do you offer? How can people work with you in the health and wellness, the womb wellness space?
So I told you that I've been fighting with God, not sure, back and forth with God about this whole thing. So I've always been making like tonic. So coming out of my healing journey, I realized that I needed something to make me feel stronger. And so I started by making this tonic for myself, the iron tonic, and it's built up my iron levels so much to the point where last year I was able to give blood. I've never been able to give blood in my life. I never ever thought about it because my blood count was always so low. But that tonic has helped me to build up my iron levels so much. So that I started making and I started offering that, I would say unofficially. And unofficially, because it's just persons who know me and know that, okay, I made this tonic, I would offer it to them and some people who I used to work with and stuff like that. But I've now created an Instagram account, Naturally Julzz Temple Care. And that's where I'm sort of, okay, officially now starting to operate from. So persons can email me, naturallyjuicetemplecare@gmail.com. And they can also send me a DM on, Natural Juice Temple Care platform. The actual website, that is a work in progress. I'm officially kicking off consultations in June. So persons can have consultations with me. But yeah, I've been back and forth with this, and God said, okay, it's time to step out. I have a wound wellness like line where it has the iron tonic, a wound wellness tonic, and like an actual colon cleanser for the system. And so yeah, that's like the line of products that I have available for my queens. So I'm ready to do this, officially. Yeah.
Sure. And what I'll do is I'll put the links for your Instagram in the description section so that people can reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Are you ready for the curveball?
Oh, what's the curveball?
Okay. So the curveball is, I think, a part of me always thinking that my story is not worthy enough to be shared. I think, God has a huge sense of humor and he's like, okay, since you think that, let's talk a little more. I've always shied away from sharing my story every single time, but not this time. Yeah, I'm here. See, I'm here. So I think last year was a very, very challenging year for me. I would say emotionally, like a huge tug on war, back and forth for me. And so coming out of that, I think I just harbored some things that I personally need to heal from. And this has been very, very, very open um after going through that healing journey and feeling how amazing it is to leave from this side to the side of feeling in control. I'm like, okay, something is really not going well with my system. I started to realize that, okay, my cycle added like an additional day. I had now like an additional day on my cycle because I went down to 3 days. Did I tell you that? I went from 8 days to 3 days. That's like a whopping amazing reduction in the number of days. And it would have been just really 2 days and then drip for the third day. So like, and then the amount is just a small amount. So I could plan everything around my cycle because I was now in control. I think I would say the emotional trauma and excessive stress that I went through last year, always showing up for everybody. This is just me. I'm always showing up for everybody. Persons know that I know about herbs. So I'm actively always focusing on other people's healing journey and trying to ensure that I show up for my family. And I think I didn't really realize how much that was affecting me. Like, in last year, constantly being, okay, caretaker for this person, caretaker for that person, like really showing up because that's just my personality. I'm gonna show up. And I started to feel like my body was just out of alignment in certain areas. Of course, how I was eating for the most part was basically the same. I wasn't actively juicing like every month or so, but my everyday I would still be having juices and stuff like that. Of course, I wouldn't have gone back to how I was eating before, the dairy, the meat, none of that stuff, but um, things that I would held as holy grail practices for me, sometimes I would sacrifice those things so that I could show up for other persons. And so when I went to my gyno for my checkup, my gyno, I did a abdominal and pelvic ultrasound again because I'm like, okay, I just need to know if I'm all good, but it just feels like something is off. And then when I got my results, I realized that I have fibroids. So now I have that journey that I need to undertake. And I wasn't sad or surprised or anything like that because I know that a lot of things can contribute to fibroids. And one of those things is stress and really unresolved things. And last year it was like to the pinnacle, like for me, like it was a really, really rough year for me. I had to fight so much to bring myself back to center all the time and all of this time while showing up for everyone else. And I think I didn't really realize how much that was affecting me until even now when I keep looking back at certain things that happen, I'm like, I don't ever like to use the stress or depressed word, but when I look into like everything that happened and the definitions and everything, I realized that there are points of last year where I was truly, truly depressed, but no one wouldn't know because I'm always that person who I am, bubbly. I'm a strong person. I'm the person who you would come to for, suggestions and, concerns and things like that. I am that person. And so it would just be, it was hard for persons to even think that, I would probably be, but I really truly feel like I was, based on looking back at all the things that I went through and even starting like 2025. I was like, I have to ensure that I get back into the practices of what I know, really, really worked for me and help me to thrive and help me to not second guess myself and help me to show up as my ultimate best self. And so that is something that I officially decided to start with, what I know works amazing for me and helps me to get back to feeling like myself. And that is juicing. So I started juicing. I did 21 days of juicing and I finished like 2 days ago. So I'm continuing on that protocol because I am way more equipped now. I have all the resources. I have the herbs. I have, the methodologies and the things that I know absolutely work. So what I'm doing right now, I'm essentially taking myself through a program that I created. It's a 90-day program. The minimum time frame I would say to do anything, 21 days, 3 months. Like those time frames are very pivotal in allowing the body to reset. And so I'm taking myself on a journey for 90 days with the program, with my tonics that I make. And really just going through the process of being patient with myself, because a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough grace. And I think that is something that, especially as women, we ought to ensure that we do and remind ourselves of how amazing and strong we are. So I am on that journey with a renewed mindset and all the tools that I have garnered over the years. Yeah.
And we can definitely come back the next 90 days and you can share how that is going. So before I go into the final segment, just wanted to ask, is there anything that I did not ask that you want to share with our audience?
I would say start. No, I would say start. Well, first of all, I would say trust your instincts. Trust your instincts and listen to your body. If you are getting these signals, it has to be because something somewhere is not working the way that it's supposed to work. Our creator knows what he's doing. He knew what he was doing years and years and years ago. And we are created in a beautiful and dynamic way for our organs and systems to work the way that they're supposed to. So if you're feeling something, pain or constant like electrical, whatever it is that you feel that it just makes you feel like something is off with your body, don't stop until you figure out what exactly it is, because chances are your instincts are right and it's something that you need to take care of. Seek medical advice so you know exactly what is going on. I think it's really important to not go in blindly, to be like, okay, something is wrong. I think it's this. Let me just work on, this. It's important to know what exactly is going on before you go on like that journey, and start where you are with what you have. That's something that I used when I was just starting, and just don't give up on yourself, because if you wait until the perfect time to have the perfect equipment, to be in the right place, you will never ever start. You will never ever start. And it's evident in so many different areas of life, but that I really, really want to be a takeaway. Start where you are with what you have. My favorite motivational speaker is Les Brown. And one of the things that he said in one of his speeches is that you're worth doing it again and again and again. Like he's lost pounds several times. And he's like, I'm worth doing it. I'm never ever gonna stop because life happens, life happens and you're faced with curveballs and you go through things that, God is probably like, you need to go through this. Kind of like what is happening to me right now, where I've gone through that healing journey of, okay, the excruciating, painful period and all of that with the ruptured cysts and all of that. And I'm like, yes, I'm healed. I've dealt with that. I know what it's like to go through that. But then God is like, maybe God is saying this. I don't know. But it's like, you need a little more, you need to go through something else. Because whatever it is that I'm preparing you for the next step, you need to go through this before you can actually be in that vessel that you need to be for this movement. Maybe that's what God is saying. I don't truly know, but this is another journey that I need to ensure that I go through. But I am now equipped to go through that journey. And I'm not giving up on myself at all because I know what I need to do. But you might be starting from a place where you don't really know what to do, and that's fine. Just tell yourself that you're not going to give up. Those things I would say, start where you are with what you have. Don't give up. Utilize your resources, and just know that you're going to get to the other side of the pain-free, the happy periods when you can dance and, feeling like you're in control of yourself. That is what I would say.
The first thing I'm going to comment on was what you
Yeah.
had said initially in
Mhm.
terms of the stress bringing on the fibroids. I'm going to comment on that first before I comment on what you just said a
Yeah,
while ago.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So I reiterate what you're saying because health, wellness, it's a holistic approach. So you could be
Holistic.
eating the right things, but yet
Mm-hmm.
still you are,
Yeah.
well, you could be eating the right foods, but
Foods,
yet
yeah.
still you are ingesting other things, the stress, the negativity from people around you, things from
Yeah.
the environment. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
a holistic approach that we should take to wellness because sometimes,
Yep.
we get ill and we're saying, how could this happen to me? But
Yeah.
there are other
Mm-hmm.
elements that
Yep.
contribute to wellness. So that's
Yeah.
what I will say on that.
Yep.
No, for the other part, I also always say that what you just said. Start where you
Mm-hmm.
are with what you
Mm-hmm.
have. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
go-tos
Yep.
because even
Yep.
this podcast, this is not how I would have wanted it. I would have wanted it in a studio with camera
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
editors and all of that. But guess what? We're starting where we are with what we have. And
Exactly.
so I'm just speaking life and positivity into your services and your business
Thank
because you
you.
keep saying, I don't have a website yet. So what? Right? You have an Instagram page, you have WhatsApp. So you're starting where you are with what you have. And I am sure, I know, just put your energy into it because what you focus on expands. So just leaving that with you before we go into the final round, which
Okay.
is the rapid
Thank
fire round.
you.
You're welcome. The rapid fire round, I'm going to ask you some questions quickly and you answer as quickly as you can. All right,
Okay.
let's go. A healing food you added that changed everything.
Ginger.
A food you eliminated that made the biggest difference.
Meat, especially chicken.
One herbal tea or remedy that you swear by.
I can't say ginger again, right? Because I've said ginger
Well,
before, but
the
I
ginger.
love me some ginger tea. And if I have to speak womb wellness because this is what my brand is. So I would say dog blood. Love dog blood. Love dog blood. It works wonders for the womb. So I love dog blood tea. Yeah.
One phrase, I wonder if it's the same one you're going to use, but one phrase or affirmation that got you through the worst days.
No, I can't say the one that I said before. Can I give you a scripture that really got me through like my journey?
If that is it, tell us.
Okay, perfect. So Jeremiah 29, verse 11, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to bring you hope and a bright future. I might be paraphrasing here, the 29 verse 11, but it really, really brought me through. And I think really, really saved my life. Really, really. Because I think I was on a path to eating my way to maybe my grave. I don't know, because I was just eating without concern or thought that it had anything to do with how my body functions. So yeah, that's what I would say.
If you could recommend one natural remedy for period pain, what would it be? I think you said it before, but let's hear it.
Ginger and Cersei, or call it mint and Cersei, works amazing. Works amazing.
If you could challenge our listeners to try one healing practice for 7 days, what would it be?
Easy. Juicing. And let me combine it. Juicing combined with deep breathing. Juicing combining with breath work, I would say.
So now we want to add some songs to our healing playlist. What's one song that helped you to feel empowered or that got you through during your healing?
Maverick City, everything is working for my good. I play that song every day, especially coming out of that stressful time of my life. A friend of mine recommended it, and I've been listening to it. It's really, really helped me. Yeah.
Can you give us a piece, please?
Whoa! Everything is working for my good. Yeah.
All right, at least we got a piece. At least we got a piece. So this is the Womb Wellness or the Womb Healing Starter Pack. If someone was starting their womb healing journey, what would you put in their starter pack?
Well, they definitely need to do some form of cleansing and building. So we're going to need to cleanse with our beta tonic right here. We're going to need to put some iron in the system. I have iron tonic here as well. And we're going to need to support the womb. I have womb wellness tonic here as well. But that's if you're going to get the tonics. You don't need to, you don't have to. There are herbs that, if you prefer to boil them for yourselves, you can do that. But the concept I would recommend is essentially the same. You want to cleanse, right? So it's about discover, then you want to work on building and really, really focus on resetting. And that methodology would include herbs that are going to, cleanse. Then you want to build and officially reset, and you want to continue on that. Find something that works for you, not something that you're going to feel like disrupt your routine, because then you're going to stop it as soon as life throws something at you, but something that truly works for you, which is why I said you have the option of getting the tonics from me that I would have made, or I can recommend the herbs for you and you can just ensure that you take them. But I love herbs. I live by them because they have literally healed me. So that would be in the starter pack, and ginger has to be in there. Has to. Yeah.
So ginger, herbs, that's it?
Ginger, herbs, deep breathing, affirming yourself, because we forget to do that sometimes. Really, really affirming yourself daily and doing that breath work is really, really important. And find a simple concoction that works for you, regardless of where you are in the world. In the Caribbean, we can easily grab some aloe vera, do an aloe vera shot, do a ginger and turmeric shot. I think it's really important for us to know simple ways of maintaining our households as women. So I would say find that one thing that works for you, whatever it is that you can easily access all the time and have readily available at home. My mentors taught me herbs in terms of odd numbers. So like everything that I do is just in terms of like odd numbers. So my juicing, you decide what you can do. And the herbs, ensure that you incorporate the herbs into what you're doing, and ensure that you work on your mindset. It has to start with the mindset. You got to believe that it's possible, or you're already crippling yourself before you get started. And if you don't 100% believe because you don't understand it fully as yet, believe in my belief for you that it is possible, because I believe it is possible for anybody who decides to go on a journey. It's possible. I've seen it happen. with me. I've helped different persons with different aspects of their journeys, whether it's building their iron levels or whatever case it may be. And so it is definitely possible. That's my starter pack. It's done. Complete starter pack.
Herbs, deep breathing, affirmations. Probably they can get some affirmation cards. What about movement?
Juicing. Oh yes, movement. Yeah, temple movement. Really, really important. You gotta move, whether it is stretches, light stretches, or what you can do, depending on what time of month it is or whatever it is, because you gotta be gentle with your womb and with your body when it's your time of month. But movement is really important. Whether you want to run, walk, whatever it is, but it's important and it is possible. Trust and believe. I've done a 5K while I'm fasting on juices only. And it was my best time yet. I think I did 25 minutes, 26 minutes. Yeah. So anything is possible. Trust and believe me. Yeah, it is. So movement, deep breathing, juicing, herbs.
Herbs,
Yes. Herbs,
affirmation.
their affirmation. Yes.
Oh, that's a starter pack.
That's a starter
My
pack. Yeah.
final question. What does true healing mean to you?
So my brand and my mantra is, temple healing. It's a holistic thing, as you have mentioned before. So it's mind, body, spirit. It's a whole thing, it's all of that. And I think true healing only comes when you are open and honest with yourself. You have to be able to go through the feelings that you don't really want to go through. You have to deal with the things that are probably coming from childhood days. Also, something that I'm, also tackling as well, because you have to deal with whatever trauma that is there, right? So true healing comes when you ensure that you tackle all of those different facets. You need to move, right? That's another way that we eliminate waste from out of our temple. So movement is important. Whatever it is that you believe in. For me, spirituality is very, very important for me. Like I cannot do anything without God. Like He's done so much for me. So whatever it is that, you believe in, you need to ensure that, okay, you are working on your belief system, and I would say mental clarity, right? Mental, like emotionally, that's a part of your health as well. So really tackling all of the facets of healing and not just focusing on the food. The food is very, very important. Don't get me wrong, it really is. But the other facets too are really, really important, and creating boundaries, right? Creating healthy boundaries. It doesn't matter if it's with friends or families, but I think a lot of times those are the boundaries that we are afraid to create, for reason of, okay, they're our loved ones, but it's important to create healthy boundaries with your family members and your friends, so that you don't bottle up feelings of, probably guilt or whatever it is, because that's also not healthy. So all of that together, emotional healing, moving your body, all of that, we have to take care of it one step at a time, one day at a time. It sounds like it's a lot to do because we're saying all of these alleys, but start where you are, work on what you can, day by day, you will get there. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Jules, for coming and sharing your story with us. We appreciate love that you took the time, just to share your knowledge and your experience, because it is valid, right? So don't ever think that your story is not important enough to be shared. And I'm sure that there are people who will be able to relate to your experience, but also people who will be inspired by your experience. So thank you, thank you. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you so much, Stacia. It was really a pleasure to be here to talk with you.
To our listeners and viewers, I hope that this episode inspired you as much as it inspired me. Remember, Healing is a journey, not a destination, and every small step you take counts. You can watch more episodes of Nature Cures with Stacia Alicia on Amazon Audible, Spotify, and YouTube Music. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this story. If you're watching on YouTube, please check out the description section for links and to stay connected with me on social media. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, nature cures. Blessed love.